When is the Austin housing market going to crash? Jeremy Knight, the Knight Group, your favorite Austin realtor. This is indeed the #1 most Googled question when it comes to the Austin area. Well, the June numbers just came out and there is a lot to talk about here. So we're going to go through that. Secondly, Fortune came out this article from Morningstar talking about housing affordability and when it'll be restored. So we're going to talk about that. So there's a lot of things in the Austin market to talk about. Drop a comment below. Is the market crashing? Is it going to crash? Is it now the time to buy? Drop those comments. We want to hear from you. Okay, so before I get to the June numbers, because they did some crazy things in June and how that might impact the rest of the year, I have long been saying the last half of this year is the time to buy. So we'll see. But this article from Morningstar basically says that the market is going to finally see affordability by 2025. And here's where it's really getting into the nitty-gritty. And there's a lot of good information in this article. There are 3 levers that can help ease housing affordability heading forward: falling mortgage rates, falling home prices, and rising incomes. Due to financial market volatility, mortgage rates are always the lever that can have the biggest impact in the short term. We saw this in 2021 and 2022 when rates were down around 2.5% to 3%. That's where we saw these huge prices increase. I love the graph that they put out here showing 2022 that mortgage rate was the biggest component, and it's kind of bouncing back. Well, if we look at mortgage rates right now, they are in and around the 7% range. Here is what Morningstar is saying will happen by the end of 2023. And this is what I've been saying for a while. So maybe this article is confirmation bias. You tell me in the comments. Morningstar says that interest rates are at 7%. Right now, they dropped below 7 as of today with the information from the CPI, which drop a comment below. Did you watch all the CPI information? They are talking about potentially not raising rates the next go around, or raising rates one more time and then stopping the rates. And that's kind of what Fortune's actually talking about in this article as well. But Morningstar expects that this trend will come down the second half of the year, averaging around 6.25 for 2023. Morningstar's forecast model then expects mortgage rates will drop to the 5% in 2024 and down to 4% in 2025. So what that will do, if that does do that, that will drive more people back into the market. So this article is kind of saying that over the next 2 years, it is going to be the best time to buy a home, starting in the last half of 2023 into 2024, because as of rates hitting 4%, that's going to drive buyers back in and prices back up. The long-term Morningstar expects mortgage rates will remain low. They cite factors like an aging population, slowing productive growth that'll put downward pressure on long-term rates like mortgage rates. Regardless of this happening in the next few years, we expect interest rates to ultimately settle back down to the low levels that prevailed before the pandemic. Now, this is pretty interesting. Our revised home price forecast now projects the existing home price to decline 6 to 4% from 2022 to 2024, respectively. So again, if this article is basically saying the best time to buy is in the next 2 years. Now, back in 2019, the market wasn't as crazy. And if you bought a home in 2019, by 2021, we saw this huge swing back up in prices where people made a ton of money. So I heard so many people in 2022 saying, oh, I wish I bought in 2019. Does that mean that 2023 and 2024 are going to be those years people go, oh, I wish I would have bought in 2023. Oh, I wish I bought in 2024, especially if rates are dropping so fast. I mean, this does lead to what a lot of agents said, which I don't really like the saying, marry the home, date the rate. So if you did buy a home at 6% and it does go down to 4%, that's where we'll probably see more refis. I don't want to promise anyone that. I am not saying that that is the route to go, but the Austin numbers aren't dropping, right? Let's look at the Austin numbers real quick, because this is what just came out. First, let's actually talk about 2 things impacting the Austin area still. #1, this article talking about that Tesla is still bringing more jobs to the Austin area, and it's not just Tesla. You know, Tesla was initially going to bring 10,000 jobs. I heard that that number is really going to balloon towards 20,000 jobs, but look at all the suppliers that are bringing more jobs. There's another announcement of 800 new jobs from a Tesla supplier. There's this news that the mega site out in Hutto is looking at a billion-dollar project, and that's almost coming to fruition. So if you want me to talk more about the things coming to Austin in another video, let me know in the comments. I'll do that. But what do you think about the job situation in Austin? If we look at jobs right now, there's all this talk about people losing their jobs and, you know, the tech bubble bursting in Austin. But jobs, the unemployment rate's still around 3.4%. That's for the May numbers. The June numbers aren't out yet, so I'd love to see the June numbers. I bet you would too. The other thing is, like, if these mortgage rates do drop, I mean, you're going to see people buying again. This is a great time to bring up the tax bill relief that's coming out right now. Now, this has passed the House and the Senate. It is going to the voters in November and would effectively go into effect in January. But this was increasing the homestead, is giving $18 billion to the schools to relieve homeowners. Really, it's about a 3-year thing to help homeowners, and it didn't really do enough, in my opinion, to help landlords actually be able to give credits enough to help renters. Drop a comment below if you think the tax relief bill does enough, doesn't do enough. We talked a little bit about it on Real Amigos the other day, but this could be another component that actually helps the Austin area and continues to drive prices back up if people find it now more affordable with property taxes being lowered. Drop a comment below. Let's get to the rest. Let's talk about the Austin numbers, because this is what's really, really important here. In the month of May, we saw prices drop in Austin. I mean, here's the chart. From April to May, it went from 565 down to 550, and in Austin is now 588. That's a pretty big jump. That's like a 6.9% jump. On my Instagram and on this channel, I posted kind of a chart that I've done on this, but this puts us back above 2021 levels. And if we look at the MSA, which is the larger Austin area, the MSA now shows us that we are pretty much level with 2021, 483, 482, right? That's where we were. The problem I have with the MSA numbers is they have Caldwell County as part of the MSA. So the MSA is 5 counties, and Caldwell really doesn't touch Austin. It doesn't touch Travis County. So I just have a problem with that, whereas like Hayes, Bastrop, and Williamson all touch Travis County. That's just my biggest beef with how they report these numbers, but you tell me in the comments, should we be worrying about Caldwell County, which is like San Marcos and further down? Here's what's interesting and where I'm really concerned still with the Austin market, and this is why I think it might be a better time to buy the last half of the year, because the fact that we're at 3.7 months for the MSA of inventory. So that's, if nothing else hit the market right now, it would take 3.7 months for everything just to sell out. But in Austin, it's 3.9 months of inventory. It's a pretty big amount of inventory. Really thing that's interesting about the June numbers and why July might actually be a good indicator of what's going to happen at the end of the year is pending sales went up both in the MSA and both in Austin last month. So that means that we're going to still have a lot of closings in July. So we'll see how that impacts the numbers in July. What do you think? Do you think the second half we're going to see a big crash? Because look, the last 2 years, the MSA, we got to this time of the year and then we saw prices drop. If we look at the Austin numbers, I mean, this is where we saw a 20% drop from May all the way down to really December. So if we see prices drop and we see interest rates drop, are people going to be back in the market? Are you going to be back in the market the last half of the year if you are buying? I still anticipate we're going to see prices drop. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on the prices in Austin increasing at such a spectacular rate? I mean, 550 to 588, that's a pretty big increase. You know, I did do a video recently talking about how these numbers are manipulated. And so I looked at this. There wasn't that many more $1 million sales in June compared to May, but there was a lot less of the lower dollar sales, 500 and below. So interesting stats there. What do you think is going to happen in the Austin market? Is that crash coming soon? Is the crash taking a long time? Is there no crash? Drop a comment below. We'll see you in the next video.